Hey everybody, and welcome to the Keto 101 videos with Yogi. Make sure that you click like and subscribe down below so that you can get all the new videos. Give us feedback on the comments, and make sure you check the show notes for any kind of offers or links to products that we may mention in the show videos. Also, remember, I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. This is simply guidelines of how to do a ketogenic diet in basic standards and how I would follow the ketogenic diet. All right, everybody, have a great day and enjoy the video.
Hey everybody, it's Yogi back with another Keto 101. Today we're going to be talking about tracking your food, your macros, as well as testing for ketones and the different ways you can do that and why it might be important to track. Also, why tracking might actually prove a hindrance to you. So we're going to talk about tracking food first. And basically, to track food, you would keep some sort of food journal. You could do this by keeping a notebook handy, an app on your phone. If you're really going to get into it, you can do all kinds of charts and whatever. But you're basically going to log in everything that you eat each day. Now, when you log this stuff in, you're going to be able to track how the different types of food you eat affect your body. And the other thing that you might find out when you're tracking is that you may be consuming more carbohydrates, or you might not be eating the ratios that you think you are eating. And it sounds kind of silly to some people, but oftentimes we forget what we had for the day. I can't tell you how many times that somebody's asked me, what did you have for breakfast? And I couldn't remember. And the same thing with other people. Like, if you try to get somebody to recall what they ate in a day or a week or whatever, it's very difficult. So when you write things down, you could really examine where your diet's going, how much you're eating, what your carb count is. And if you use devices like, let's say, MapMyFitness or Chronometer, you can really break things down and see a good estimate of what you are eating is. And the reason why I say estimate is none of these things are going to be 100% accurate. There is, unless you're using a gas chromatograph in a lab for every meal you eat, there's no real way to get a real number, but you're getting an estimate. So what they do to figure out how many carbs you're eating, or how much protein is in a food, or how many carbs are in a food, or how much fat is in there, is they take a sample group, test these samples, figure out the average, and then they say, this is it, this is the number. You can see in different apps and different tracking forms, when you look at your macros, the numbers can be drastically different for the same kind of thing, even the same commercially manufactured products. When you are dealing with natural products like beef, chicken, vegetables, the macros may be different simply because the animal ate something different. It was a bigger animal, it was a fattier animal. Just like people, they can all be different. There might have been a different nutrient profile in the soil. There might have been a drought. There might have been all kinds of things that caused different changes in the vegetables and fruits that you eat that would affect the carbohydrate levels that are in there and the ratios that are in there. So they give you an estimate so you can get a good idea of what you're eating, but it's not an exact thing. So keep that in mind. Now, the other thing about tracking food is you can often see if you're eating like one particular thing for a while and you notice that you're not feeling well, you might be able to use the food log to track something you ate, that every time you might see that every time you ate this thing, you got a stomach ache, or you had bad gas, or you had some sort of skin reaction. And you might be able to find food sensitivities, which could also, a food sensitivity can create stress within your body and affect your ability to lose fat, or it might even cause you to gain fat. So these are some really good reasons to track your food. Now, tracking other things such as your ketones and your blood sugar is something else that can also be very beneficial to a lot of people. Let's say you want to find out if you're sensitive to sweeteners, even keto sweeteners, and you test and you find out that every time you have erythritol or xylitol or allulose, that you're out of ketosis for an extended amount of time, and that you're gaining weight, maybe not feel so well. So tracking that type of thing, you can actually find out if you are having a reaction and might have to cut something like a keto sweetener out of your diet for a while to allow yourself to heal and reach your goals. Tracking blood ketones. There's several different tests that you can do to test for ketones. There's the urine strips, there is the blood meter, and there is the breathalyzers, which are fairly new thing on the market. Now, the least accurate test for ketones that you're going to do is the urine test. The strips only test if you're spilling ketones out of your urine, which means they're ketones that your body is not using for energy. If your body gets very efficient at using ketones for energy, you may not spill any out in the urine, and the ketone test strips may not, the urine strips may not pick any up. Doesn't mean that you're not in ketosis. It simply means that you may be using the ketones before they can reach your urine and be passed. The other thing about the strips is they're heat sensitive. And if they've been stored at the manufacturer or the shipper or at the store in hot areas, it can actually ruin the efficacy of the test. They may not respond in the way. They may always come out black. It just, all kinds of things can happen to it. So they're not most accurate things. The one thing you could use them for is to see if you're actually producing ketone bodies. And that's okay. But they just are not going to give you the most accurate information. Now, the most accurate test you can do is the ketone blood test. And there's several out on the market. There's the Precision Extra, which is found at a lot of Walmarts and pharmacies. It tests both blood sugar and ketones. It is one of the more accurate devices on the market, but it's also very expensive. And the test strips for the ketones, I believe, for that product are a little over, I think they're close to $2 a strip in some areas. So they can be kind of pricey, especially if you want to do long-term testing. Let's say test for over a period of several months, and you're testing several times a day to see what your food is doing to your ketone levels, what's happening when you eat, what your workouts are doing to your ketone levels. So that can be pretty pricey. And the ketone strips in general are fairly pricey because they're not used that much. There are several other products out on the market. Some are a little less expensive. The one I have here is called a Keto Mojo. Hold that up. So these are actually, they're very accurate. They're about comparable to the Precision Extra, and they are actually very good on the value that they sell the strips and everything for. And you can get big kits, and you can find them all over the place. So basically, in your Keto Mojo, it'll come with a meter. Well, any of your test strips, it'll come with a meter. It'll come with I have right here the ketone test strips in this container right here, and I have blood glucose test strips in this container right here. So you can test both blood sugar and ketones, which is pretty good to do, because you can actually see if you're getting a sugar spike after your meals. You can see how your body is responding when you wake up in the morning, and whether or not your blood sugar is really high when you wake up in the morning or when you go to bed, and you can really compare things. The other thing it comes with is your Lancet device, and the Lancets themselves right there. Okay. And what they want you to do is you wash your hands really well, soap and water. Then you put a Lancet in the device. You kind of cock the device back right here by pulling this back. You adjust to, there's a little thing right here. It may be hard to see, but there's little lines to tell the Lancet how deep to penetrate your skin to get a different size blood drop. If you only need a really small blood drop, you can put it all the way down. If you need a larger blood drop, then you can put it all the way up. So you put one of the test strips in the top right here. You turn the device on and you test and you put the blood on there and it'll give you the reading and record it. There's an option too that they have if you download the app. They have this little device right here, and they make them for Android devices as well as iOS, and you could plug the device in and sync and download all your data to your cell phone or your iPad or your PC or Mac, whatever you want to do, so that you can keep an easy record of what your ketone tests have been, and you can track over a period of time. Then the other method of testing is the breath ketone tests. The breath ketone tests are, like I said, fairly new to the market. I don't have a lot of experience using them, but from what I read, they are fairly accurate. What they do is they test the beta hydroxybutyrate that's in your breath, that is actually the ketone bodies. So they're pretty close to doing blood tests. They're less invasive. You don't have to prick your fingers, so they're easy to use. They are a large initial investment. They're pretty pricey, most of them, but over time you could actually save a lot of money on them because you don't have to constantly replace the test strips. Instead, there's a little, usually a little end piece, like a filter type thing that you breathe into that catches everything, and every so often you have to replace that. The ketone is 1 meter that I know of, and then there's another one called, it was a ketone and I can't think of the other name of them, but there's a couple out on the market. And there's even some disposable ones, but from what I was reading about the disposable ones, they're very pricey to use over the long run, and they are not very accurate. So those are your methods of testing and recording ketones. Now, your ideal range for your blood ketones is anywhere between 0.05 millimolars or to about 3 millimolars. They say you want to be around 1.5. This is what they say is if you're at 0.5 or over, then you're officially in ketosis. Now, if you're even at 0.1, you're producing ketones, so you're going to be there. Now, there may be some reasons why you may not test for very high ketones. You could have a lot of glycogen stores in your muscles that your body's trying to burn off, so you're not producing a lot of ketone bodies. Sometimes if you're at rest, the ketones don't go up. And some of the foods you eat, even if they are keto approved, can actually lower the amount of ketones that your body produces. So it just all depends on how you react to it, and it's a bio-individual thing. So it could be a number of reasons for that you may not be producing high amount of ketones. Some people may be producing a really large amount of ketones, and there's different reasons for that as well. So testing can help you track progress beyond a scale. You can see that you're going in the right direction, and for some people, getting those ketone scores and tracking everything keeps them motivated. It's almost like playing a video game and you're collecting all the different things, but in this case it's data about your health. So people almost get like a sense of reward for it, and it keeps them motivated and keeps them going. Now, some other people, especially if they're not seeing the results that they want, or it's not in their in the areas that they feel that they should be, constant testing and tracking can actually be a hindrance to them and actually demotivate them because they may get frustrated. And you have to evaluate whether or not this is you and see how testing works for you. I do recommend that if you can test in some sort of way at the beginning and track your food, it is a great way to keep yourself on track by monitoring your intake and seeing what it does to your body. And it's a great way to help you build that habit of being in a ketogenic lifestyle and breaking away from the high carb, sad, standard American diet style of eating. So these are some really good things that you can do. I do, if you are going to do, it's completely up to you whether or not you test or not. But I do recommend that at least everybody at certain points of time, every once in a while, check their especially their blood sugar level, and but also their ketone levels, and see how they're doing, because you may find that you need to adjust what you're doing to better fit your 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 lifestyle goals that you have. All right, everybody, have a great day. This has been tracking and testing, and I'll talk to you guys on the next video.